guys. We're glad that you could join us tonight for the very first physical therapy program at Midwestern University in Downers Grove, our Instagram Live event. We're happy that you're here for us. Give us some hearts. Let's see who's here. My name's Dr. Janey Prodoehl. I'm a physical therapist and a faculty member in the PT program here at Midwestern, and I'm also the assistant program director. And joining me this evening in person is Dr. Judith Hess, who is also a faculty member. We both teach in the musculoskeletal curriculum, and she's as well the chair of our admissions program. We met some of you, I think for any of our admitted students online, we met some of you at your interview potentially. And then in the background, we're joined by our fabulous Fred. He is our mascot, named in honor of our Dean of College of Health Sciences, Dr. Fred Romano. On the call tonight as well, as part of our panel, we have some students. We have two of our first year students and one of our second year students. I'll turn it over to Dr. Hess and she will do those introductions.
So I guess the big question is, do we have our panel members here?
Oh, there we go. Seeing some hearts coming in.
Yeah, I see Odell.
Oh, yeah, we see you. There we go. All right. We're seeing you guys coming in. This is awesome. Woo,
I'm here.
There he is. Okay. All
right,
Judith,
here, Odell.
Dr. Hess is going to go ahead and do the introductions a little bit.
Odell Miller, and your student, he's currently out on one of his clinical rotations. Odell, can you just tell us where you're from and why you picked Midwestern?
So like she said, my name is Odell and I am from Kalamazoo, Michigan. I chose Midwestern because one of the location in comparison to where I'm from. And then I just love the campus. Like it's super unique and I love the faculty when I went on my interview and when I went on the tour and just really enjoyed everything about it. So that's why I chose it.
Great. Yeah, if you haven't had a chance to visit campus, if you did a virtual interview or if you're ever interested, anybody on the call of coming to see us, we'd love to have you join us. As Odell said, we do have a lovely campus of fantastic facilities, which is kind of an important thing when you know spending 3 years of your life here. You know, you want to enjoy your surroundings.
They're waiting.
Oh, there we go.
We probably mentioned earlier our first sort of learning as we go, and we're not quite the instant.
Oh, there it is, Erin.
We're not the generation here, so but now. So, Erin, could you just tell us where you're from, and why you just?
Okay. I am from Park Ridge, Illinois. It's right next to O'Hare. I chose Midwestern because I really liked the program when I interviewed, and I got to go on a tour, and I liked how it was a smaller campus. I went to University of Wisconsin and it was a huge campus, so it was a nice different environment for me.
Brady's on. I don't see him yet, but if he comes on, we will go ahead and kick back to him. But first, I'm going to send the first question out to Odell. Odell, can you? Oh, let's pause on that. Odell, there he is.
I requested a while ago, and it didn't get accepted until just now. I'm just sitting here like, all right. Sorry.
Can you just tell us where you're from and what was your decision to come to Midwestern?
Yeah, so I'm from Marquette, Michigan, all the way up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, like 6 hours north of here. I originally applied here because my fiance was applying here for dental school, but then I came and visited, and I loved it. I loved the campus. It's just a really good community feel, and I've loved it ever since. So
awesome, thanks. Well, we want to hear you guys. If you have questions for us, if you please put them in the question box. Odell is going to monitor that question box, and at the end, we're going to make sure we come back to those questions. So if you could use the question box rather than the comment box, it's a little bit easier for us. But we certainly want to hear any questions that you have. Our fabulous students can help answer. But we're going to start with the question, which is going to go out to Odell, and then I'll turn it over to the other two. So Odell, what was the most fun lab experience thus far in the curriculum, and why?
This is a hard one. So I really love hands-on classes as well as like the technology side of things. So the combination of those two would probably be like the modalities as well as like the joint mobilizations. And then one class that sticks out to me in particular is when we had the wheelchair company come in to show us all of their technology and then tell us about the cost. And that was like amazing to see. So
Yeah.
the combination of a lot of them.
Right. Yeah. Brady, what about you?
Yeah, Odell stole mine. I was gonna go with the wheelchair lab. I just, it was really cool to see all the technology and be able to test out all the equipment, especially the like really like high dollar electric wheelchair that had like all the bells and whistles and that, and we were flying around the lab on it, probably a little too fast, but
You know, when it's a fun day when it's wheelchair day on campus.
Yeah.
You take them everywhere, right?
Yeah.
To add to that, or did they steal your thunder?
I was gonna say I really liked the mindfulness day because we just got to like kind of like lay on the tables and do the actual mindfulness activities, which I think we all needed at that time. So that's one I liked.
Yeah, you can always use that.
Mhm.
Our curriculum that was just added, so that's nice to hear you say.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're definitely an evidence. Now the evidence base for some of these techniques is growing. Our curriculum is always changing. Erin, what technology would you recommend having for new students on campus program?
I have an iPad, which most of the people in our class also have, and we all use it. It's really easy to get all like the slides and the different handouts that the professors give us, and you can like switch. I have one that has a keyboard, so it's nice that I can switch from writing and typing, and I think it's just the easiest. So I would recommend that.
For a particular size, a regular size, extra size?
I have the big one, and I like the big one, but a lot of like our classmates have the smaller one, and it works all of them work perfectly fine. It's just a matter of preference, I think.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to add to that? Anything else you'd recommend?
Yeah, I would just say the iPad for sure. I have the iPad Air. Just make sure I would recommend getting the more space as far as like gigabytes, because I mean, you might have a lot of apps and stuff that you want to download, and it's the worst when you run out of space and you're trying to like, you don't have any more room for like files or notes and stuff. So I would just recommend just shooting for like maybe the 256 gigabyte one. But it's great if you download Notability. You can put all your files on there and take notes right there, and you don't have to carry around a bunch of notebooks or anything.
I use GoodNotes, which is nice also. Yeah, I use GoodNotes, but then I have a lot of the textbooks on my iPad, so it's nice in class to be able to switch and be able to see them, so I don't have to carry around a huge textbook, which is nice.
Yeah, that's a really good point, especially in these lab-based classes where there's already a lot of stuff going on, right? Odell, are you there? We seem to have lost you. We'll come back to you in a second. I think we're going to get you rejoined, but we'll move on to another question.
So I may just interject there. We've heard from a few people who have iPads, but there are plenty of our students that have that bring their laptops or have some other sort of device that they use. So I would say laptops and iPads.
All right, I'm back.
And I'll mention that we do have all of our handouts and class notes and everything are delivered electronically through our learning management system. So no for any more have some device.
Yeah, and preferably some way to charge it at some point too. Odell, Brady and Erin talked about using an iPad. Dr. Hess just talked about a laptop's fine too. Did you have any other recommendations? You are the guys. Come on.
Yeah. So literally that's what I was gonna say too. iPad, and the laptop as well. But literally, like, you can have your iPad and have all of your notes, everything that you needed at one spot, your books, and then you have it for life. So that's why I really push for the iPad, and I wish that I had it for undergrad as well. So I definitely highly suggest it.
I know, right? Yeah. As technology grows and we figure out how to use it educationally, it is nice for students to have access to the 3D Atlas of Anatomy online when we're in a kinesiology class and they're trying to remember their muscle layers or something like that. So I think you'll see in general, technology growing in our profession for sure.
So let's move on to the next question. This one's going to be for Brady, and then open it up to everybody else. But speaking of technology and communication, how did the students? What what types of platforms do you guys use to communicate with each other as a class and amongst the whole PT program?
Yeah, so the biggest one we use to communicate as a class is GroupMe. I think right before even we started orientation, we had a GroupMe going with everybody that we knew that was going to be in our class, and we just start added people from there. And like a lot of people will get added at orientation. I think that's the best way as a class to communicate, especially just with just day-to-day class updates and introducing yourself. It's a really good app for that. And then you can message individual classmates from GroupMe as well. Like if you get a group project, all of our group projects, almost all of us use GroupMe. It's really easy to start like a new small group with the people that are in your class group. And then we also have like a Snapchat group as a class just for fun stuff. So like if we just want some like fun videos and stuff, then we'll use Snapchat. And so then we kind of have it separated where GroupMe is more for business and then Snapchat can be more for just like fun stuff. So
we don't see those group meets and
yeah, it's all private. It's all private.
we like questions, but we like to let them have their fun on the weekends and the night.
That's right.
Odell, you're in the class in front of Brady, so do you guys use the same system, or do you have other means of communicating?
Same exact one, GroupMe.
It used to be Facebook, but it seems like that's fallen out of favor a little bit more. But it's good to hear.
Great. All right. So we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about a little bit of that transition to school. And so, Odell, I'm going to first, do you have any conversations with your family about kind of expectations for how involved you could be when you started the PT program?
So when getting into the program, I think it's important to not only tell your family, but your friends that you're literally entering a doctoral program. So it's going to require your attention and your time. So if you're a little less responsive or can't hang out as much, then it's nothing against them. And that they need to understand that. And it's a sacrifice for the next 3 years. And you're entering the best profession in the world, which is physical therapy. You're becoming a doctor of physical therapy. So this is going to require so much time more than that undergrad. So it's important for them to know that.
Brady, Erin, you want to share anything?
Yeah, I think it's just, you have to make it clear what you're going to do. I remember I told a lot of my friends, and then I started and I was like, oh, I can't hang out. I have a test. And then they would ask again, 3 days later, and I'd be like, I have another test in 3 days. And they didn't, it took them a while for them to understand that we were taking tests all the time and you have to study all the time. So just making them aware before so they know what expectations they should have.
Let's just be clear though, 100% of the time studying. There is time for fun in PT, right?
Yeah.
Finds ways. Erin's always smiling, so something.
I try.
Then Erin, into how do you balance school and life? How do you do that self-care that we keep promoting and how program and it's graduate school? What's found to be helpful?
I think just I have a friend, she says that at 10 o'clock every night, she puts things away, takes a shower, goes to bed. And I think giving yourself those boundaries is good because you could stare at material for hours and hours and hours. And at some point you just need to realize that it's not going to be beneficial anymore. And you need to get your sleep and you need to exercise and spend time with the people around you. So I think that's important. And I still live at home with my parents. So I think letting them be aware, if I'm upstairs in my room and the door is closed, it means don't come in. And I think you need to let them be aware that I have exams and just setting boundaries but making sure those boundaries allow you to do things that you enjoy to do.
Now, how about the guys? I think you guys have a slightly different strategy. There's a lot of injuries up in these intramural sports. What else is going on?
Yeah, I think it's super, like Erin said, it's super important to set boundaries. And I know for the summer quarter, we had a good amount of time to study like during the day for like anatomy and like anatomy lab, and so I would just do all my studying at school during that time, and then like when I would leave, I left my school at school, and then when I come home, I would work out and spend some time just relaxing, and then like get some good sleep. So I'd leave school at school, and then when I come home, I'd come home. Now after the summer quarter, it's a little harder to do that, but I think it's super important to do things that you love, because if you're not happy and you're just feeling suppressed by all the school all the time, like you're not going to perform well. So you're much better off actually going out and having some fun every once in a while, and your grades are going to totally reflect your happiness level. So
Yeah, I think it's great that people sometimes make their very best friends in PT school with each cohort. You're helping each other, the faculty's helping you, right? It becomes a real family. I was just year ahead. You must have another year. Now you're managing clinicals as well. How are you balancing work life home now that you're on the clinical side of things, which is different again, right?
So for me, literally, it's all time management, which I think is a reflection of our field as well. Like when you're working with patients, you have to be able to document and like manage your time. So it's literally a reflection of what you're going to do. So for me, in school wise, like every Sunday, I look at the schedule for the week that we have classes, and then I literally, sounds crazy, I build out my schedule by the hour every day. So for two things, it gives me like a peace of mind knowing that I'm not missing anything school-wise, but then also you can schedule in like mental breaks, workout times, hanging out with friends or family. So then when you're hanging out with friends or family, you're not thinking like, oh, I should be studying, because that's okay. You already have time allocated towards that. So if everything's scheduled, then it gives you mental clarity and less anxiety. So time management is everything.
Great. Well, we have a couple more questions, but are there any questions in the chat that we should address before on here? I want to make sure we.
I actually can't see it. I tried to look before, and that's when it like kicked me out. So so maybe we can try at the end. I'm not sure.
Life balance. So that was kind of cool. We got that one. What sort of experiences are there outside of the classroom, such as clinical experiences? Why don't you tell us, Odell, about your clinical experience, what kind of setting you're in, and then what else is coming for you clinically down the road in your plan?
Okay, so right now I am on my second clinical, 10-week clinical. I am in a subacute facility here in Chicago. And after that, next year, I go to Michigan University for sports clinical. And then after that, I come back to Chicago in like the Naperville area to do an outpatient clinic. So that's what mine looks like.
Awesome. And then Erin and Brady are getting ready at the end of the spring courses to go out on their first rotation, a 3-week rotation. Erin, where are you headed to?
I am going to be at a PT Solutions in Willowbrook. It's an outpatient clinic. Yeah, that's where I'll be.
That's kind of nice because she's just finishing her eval musculoskeletal skills, and she'll have a chance to really apply it. Brady, how about you?
Yeah, I'm inpatient hospital at Advocate Lutheran General. It's over by the airport. So yeah, it'll be right by close to Erin.
It's right by my house.
You got the question. Yeah. All right, let's see what else we've got, because there's some good questions on there. We want to make sure that we get to them. Let's see. We've got, how do you prepare for interviews? Oh my gosh, that's a great question, right? So we'll maybe talk a little bit about it, but we want to hear from you. How did you prepare without giving away the,
Yeah.
But what advice would you guys give somebody to prepare for an on-campus interview? Brady, can you start?
Yeah, I can definitely start. It's just like cliche. It's just be like you be yourself, but you really just gotta be like show your own personality, and don't overthink it. Don't try to like outsmart the interview or anything like that. Like don't. You guys always tell us don't outsmart the test. Don't try to outsmart the interview. Like answer the questions honestly and be personable, and show that you can communicate well, and that's what matters. So
that's a really great point, because it could fit on both ends, right? You want a good personality to fit here, and we want our personality to be yourself. Come with your questions as well. Be ready. Oh, would you say anything different?
So this is actually one of the main questions that I get asked all the time on my social media. And I actually just made a YouTube video about this. But like in your interview, it's important to like let them know your personality. They have they don't know who you are. So some people might think that it's like braggadocio, but talk about how you're involved in being the president of this club, or you're involved in this club while maintaining school. it's not all about grades, because that's just not what it is anymore. You need to be personal. This is physical therapy. It's one-on-one. So like showing that you have that personality, and then literally not being afraid to tell them who you are and like kind of brag about yourself. They have no idea otherwise. So don't be afraid to do that.
Very good.
Erin, anything else to add, or should we move on?
I think you just need to, like they say, to prepare for it. I prepared for mine, and it was nice that I was ready to answer some of the questions, but then you always need to expect questions that you aren't prepared for. Dr. Anderson asked me who would I want to have lunch with, dead or alive, and every single human being on the earth disappeared from my brain. Like I had no idea what to say. And then we talked about how we both like Taylor Swift. So it's just a matter of you're going to make connections with the people that you're talking with, and just remember to be yourself. And you can prepare, but don't overdo it.
There we go. Okay, so let's see what else. Yeah. There we go. What gyms do you go to? This is a great question. I'll talk to Brady. What gym would you recommend? Are there plenty in the area? Is there anything on campus, Brady?
Yeah, there's we have a gym on campus, and we're always up there playing basketball. So it's a nice basketball gym, and there's like racquetball courts, and then there's a bunch of like cardio equipment, and it's all machine weights. There's no if you like free weights, it's not necessarily the best gym. Other than that, I like it. It's free. It comes with your student like tuition, which I love. I love free. Yeah. And yeah, so that's what I recommend. I think Odell probably has some other good recommendations for community gyms, but
that would be shocking to me.
So yeah, the university gym is good. I go there and like they house like yoga sessions, different classes. Like I go to a class called Bodies by Rachel, which is actually like a PT student, and she does like a live class. But we go there and work out, and then I actually use the UFC gym every day, which is like a mile down the road from the school. Super useful. And then I know a lot of people use Export, which isn't too far.
And I think sometimes they give discounts to Midwestern students too.
Yep. Tell me you're a student.
Kind of like our crew here, right? Let's see what else we got. So these are really great questions, ones that we didn't even think that you guys would want to know. But let's have a look here. What would you say are the toughest classes you've taken thus far? And what would you recommend to prepare for them prior to beginning school? Maybe, Erin, we'll start with you. What would have been your toughest class, but what strategies, either with hindsight, would have helped you prepare? Let's think about just that first quarter, maybe.
I think anatomy was hard. I also had that in the first quarter, there's just a lot of material, which you need to be able to adjust to that. I also thought physiology was really hard, which is in your second quarter. So I struggled with that more than I did anatomy, but that's how I was in undergrad too. So just a matter of taking the time to actually look through the material prior to cramming for an exam. I think everyone says that, but it's true.
All right. What about you, Brady? Anything different to Erin from the first year?
I think anatomy is definitely going to be your toughest class in the first quarter. I think Odell said something earlier that's like important, is just to expect more material than an undergrad. Like it's going to take more time, and it doesn't have to consume your life, but it's going to take more time, a lot more just like dedication to the material and less distractions and a lot more time management skills. So it's just expecting that it's going to be tough and it's going to be an adjustment. That first 2 weeks is going to be like, wow, like what did I get myself into? And you're going to have some of that imposter syndrome. They'll tell you about it at orientation, but everybody feels it. Like, you're going to feel like the only one that's like, oh, like everybody else is rocking it and I'm the only one that's struggling. Everybody is struggling. It's okay. And then you'll adjust it and you'll get through it. And then you're like, yeah.
Because it's a marathon, not a sprint. And at some point, people are going to struggle in different areas. Maybe some that they nail it in the clinical side of things, or vice versa, right? Some people really have to communication, so everybody's got a different struggle, but you're with a cohort of people that know what you're going through and a whole committed faculty behind you to help you. Odell, thinking about the second year, anything different, Chad?
Not really. I feel like anatomy, like I don't need to re-go into this, but anatomy was like the foundation. So once you build off anatomy, you're fine. But then going off of what you said as well, like everyone has different study strategies. Everyone has different like schedules. So like for me, I like to pick different brains in my class to see what's working well, and then you create your own way of studying. But you can't look at the way someone else is studying and like get discouraged because they're studying that way. So find out what you like to do and what works for you, and then move on with that because everyone is going to be different.
Yeah, I'll just add on to that real quick. Like, I know, like, when we started in the first quarter, like, a lot of people were definitely studying in different ways, and you'll see people, like, rewriting a lot of stuff on, like, a whiteboard and doing it, and then, like, other people are, like, group studying, and so you're kind of like, oh, I'm not doing that, maybe I must be behind, but it's, like, it's just what works for you. And what I found that worked was on my iPad, I would just cover up, like, different answers or different parts of the text and, like, use that to quiz myself on the notes itself. So then you can go back and like you can uncover, you would like think about it in your mind. So you think about what's underneath that bubble you just created and then you uncover it. And so like just quizzing myself constantly is what I do, but other people that doesn't work. So it's, yeah.
I think the other thing that some students find challenging when they get into clinical courses is the tests become more and examinations become more about application than just memorization. Can you guys speak to that at all?
Yeah, I think like you said, you can't just expect like to memorize terms and that's what they're going to ask about it. You need to be able to apply it. So what I've been doing is going through the lab materials, which is a lot of application. So rather than just like straight definitions, going through that. And then the professors always say, like, get with your friends and make some cases up, which is helpful. I know, like, I rented out a table a couple of weeks ago just to practice the different skills when I was at home on people who didn't know what I was doing, which also helped a lot.
Right. Yes, Erin brings up a good point. Check out equipment at home, some equipment if we need to practice more with etc., things like that. Let's move on and see if there's any more coming in. And we'll just go for a little bit longer because these questions are awesome. We're having technical difficulties. All right, you can see that I'm not glasses on. All right. All right. One more. All right.
Can I jump in here?
Yeah, please do.
Somebody asked a question about our thoughts about working as a physical therapy tech during PT school. And I think it's but we generally discourage our students from having that type of job, especially that first quarter when you're taking anatomy and really getting acclimated to the new program and all your courses and stuff like that. We certainly have students that do work, some of them as PT techs. And so if you can find the time to do that, I think it's great. But we really encourage you to not plan on working initially unless you just really have to from a financial perspective. But give yourself time to get acclimated and really invest in the program.
Or just find creative ways to get employment. Would you guys say anything different about employment? I think everybody's in a different, but anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think there's opportunities for, like you said, like creative employment. Like I drive Uber on the weekends sometimes in Chicago. It's definitely possible. You don't have to. I do it like maybe like once or twice a month. Just like a couple of extra bucks. Like you can do a DoorDash or like ship shopping. So
a few years ago, a bunch of students would go out and walk neighbors' dogs,
Nice.
and they would get that. So you can do some of those things.
And there's always work study opportunities on campus too. Resistance, clerical, etc. So, amen. What would you guys have? What would you change related to your undergraduate education to get you ready for PT school? Think that. Right. I'm not even sure if I read it correctly, but it was a pretty good one. Let's do to Odell. What do you think, Odell? Anything you seem like a man on a mission. Like you had this vision. You have a vision for your life. Like, it seems like it's all gone.
I do have a big vision, but I wouldn't really change anything because I mean it got you to where you are if you're accepted in a PT school. Definitely like taking anatomy more serious. Like anatomy in grad school is a little bit more in depth than in undergrad. That is our foundation as physical therapists. So just taking that more serious and like trying to retain that information.
There you go. Anything else to add, you guys?
Yeah, what I did is I kind of knew where my weaknesses were in my application, so I made sure to strengthen the other parts. So I had a lot of observation hours, which I think helps me now, but I knew that if doing more of those and strengthening the other parts, my essays and my extracurricular activities, that I knew that would help. So obviously if I would change anything, I would change what my weakness was and do better in some of the classes that I didn't do the best in undergrad, but I'm here, so it worked.
So we're really glad you're here.
Yeah, I think we're getting close to our time here. We're a few minutes over, so I think we're going to finish up. You can reach out to us here on campus if you have any questions. For those of you that are joining us this summer, just a reminder of a couple of dates. Our orientation starts on Wednesday and goes through that Friday, and then the first day of classes is the following Monday, June 7th. And if you are planning on coming, you should look in the next couple of weeks. You'll be expecting an email from us, and we give you a buddy from the first year class that will contact you, so you have a point of contact with the student. They can help answer your questions, etc. And for those of you who haven't applied yet, the PT-CAS admission cycle opens on June 15th. So we look forward to seeing those applications next year.
Awesome. Well, we want to give a round of applause and thank you to our students. We're going to give you some thoughts there. Time to come and see some of you soon. Have a great night, okay?
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.